It's time for City Beat, your source for all the latest news on the city of Thompson. Only on 102.9 CHTM, your radio station.
Good morning and welcome to this December 14th edition of City Beat here on 102.9 CHTM. My name is Stuart Walter and my guest this morning is Mayor Dennis Fenske.
Good morning.
Let's start off by talking about City Council. It was quite the event. I know you said at the end it shouldn't quite be there to be a spectacle for people to come to watch, as a lot of business and important stuff gets done at the meetings. Could you just briefly at the start of this edition of City Beat address the behavior and the issues that everyone saw, both either on Shaw or if they're at council?
Yeah, unfortunately, we had a couple councillors that take exception to the proceedings, and one in particularly attacked or had a personal remark to a fellow councillor, which is absolutely not allowed. And so from that perspective, we've been asked in the past, and it's been a topic at the Association of Manitoba Municipalities in Manitoba in regards to councillor conduct and consequences. Currently, the only consequence for misbehavior by councillors is censorship. And basically, it's where you publicly censor a councillor. You need the majority plus one of council to do so, and there's really nothing more to that. There are some legal issues. If someone gets into trouble from a legal perspective, then there are ways to deal with that, being a valid council member. But from the day-to-day operation and the general meeting, there is a certain amount of decorum that is expected, and it's even outlined in our organizational bylaw, specifically Section 103, where it speaks to the chair of the meeting, which is myself as the mayor or the assistant or the deputy mayor in my absence, needs to control the decorum of the room. And if councillors or the general public are in their consideration being unruly or unprofessional, then it is up to the chair to first to recognize that and call them to that position. And secondly, if there is no change in behavior, the chair has the right to expel either the member of council or a member of public from that council meeting. So it's there in black and white into what can be done. And as anybody watched the proceedings, I offered that position a number of times to Councillor Wong if he had not apologized to Councillor Foley for his remarks. In the end, he somewhat apologized, and I accepted that, and we moved on.
Moving on now, there was a lot of committees that were discussed at this past meeting of council. Could you just explain those committees and how they differ from the committees that were decided at the organizational meeting? Yeah,
so you mentioned the organizational meeting. In our organizational bylaw, the mayor names the deputy mayor and the chairs of all 8 committees that we have in place. Then council elects by nomination the other council representatives that sit on those committees. The ones that we dealt with on Monday are external committees, for instance, and internal operational committees, for instance, the grievance committee, the building standards committee, the taxi commission. And so those are basically tied to the committees that they are related to. For instance, the grievance committee is tied to the HR committee, and those that are on the HR committee form as the grievance committee, but we have to appoint by resolution to those committees. So that's the process that takes place. And so those committees that are subs to the established committees of council are automatically the members of that committee that go forth with that resolution. That's been in the past practice for many years, and this was no change to that practice.
There's a few of the committees that have citizen representatives, and there's some discussion as to thanking the citizens for taking the time out of their lives to serve on these committees and talking about how people can serve. So could you talk about how these people get to be on the committees, and if anyone listening is interested in serving on a committee, how they could possibly go about that? Sure.
So we're talking about the 8 committees that are subs of council, for instance, public works or public safety as examples. And so each year, they are 1-year appointments to the general public. In total, there's a combination of organizational representation and individual representation, and in total that number cannot be any bigger than 5. And so from an individual perspective, there's an ad taken out every year in October, November, asking for, first, if those that are on the committee want to remain on the committee for the upcoming year, or if there's someone new that wants to come on, they can place their application to the committee structure for consideration. Once that closes, and most often, we very seldom have more than the required number that are applying for those positions. So it's just a matter of going through the resume and seeing that they're appropriate for the committee, and then doing this resolution to appoint them for the upcoming year to that committee. And the organization's the same thing. The letter goes to the organization. Do you want your organization still to be part of the existing committee, and would you name a rep for that organization? So it's a same process that's been going on for years and years and years, and we went through it with the housekeeping resolutions that were required.
Moving on to one final thing from this past Monday's meeting, there was a resolution to do with the Thompson Trail Breakers and a compliance issue. What was the issue that was before council?
So basically, the Thompson Trail Breakers, who are a very well-respected volunteer organization in our community, took the initiative to build basically a storage/clubhouse for the storage of their groomer that they use to annually groom the snowmobile trails in and around Thompson. And so the building permit was let to the organization. Unfortunately, when the contractor did the layout of the building, there was a mistake in that layout, and it ended up being on the road allowance, which there's no physical road, it's actually a plan. And so when that was noted, the city of Thompson put a stop work order because the foundation had already been poured, and the Trailbreakers came to the city of Thompson and said that there was a mistake made, and they certainly owned up to it, and they were looking for somehow to rectify the situation. And so we met with them on a couple times. We discussed it at development review, and administration worked with the Trailbreakers to come to a solution that was agreeable to all parties. We did that, and so actually at the end of the day we have to act by resolution or bylaw. So the resolution to support the action that both parties agreed on was brought to City Council, and then it got to the table for discussion.
And that was approved at the meeting. Why was a special meeting called to discuss the issue if it was resolved and before council?
You'd have to ask the councillors that called that special meeting. There was no real need for it. The only agenda item was going to be the Thompson Trailbreakers, which had just been completed in that council meeting and resolved through passing a resolution. So I really have no idea why the special meeting would have been required.
Moving on to the other topic that never seems to end here on City Beat. Everyone wants to know what's going on with maintenance of city streets, and this time of year it's with the snow.
So we were able to complete the whole city before we got the 5 centimeters yesterday or the day before, and so we're back into it. I noticed the equipment is on Station Road and doing Thompson Drive as well, and we are also dealing with a couple of water breaks that have come up over the last week. So we're back into the priority ones and doing some cleanup there. We're also, if we don't get any more snow, we'll start to remove the snow piles that have been created by the last 3 snowfalls, and so we'll be moving that snow to the snow dump areas as well.
There are a lot of events coming up this weekend. I think one of them, which was discussed in council a few weeks ago and is something that is always a very good thing for the city of Thompson, is the fur tables.
Absolutely, and I really wanted the general public to come out for 2 reasons. One, to support this annual event. It generates between $500,000 and $750,000 annually that circulates through our community, either in goods and services purchased or Christmas presents or supplies and things like that. So it's a really good event. From a cultural perspective, it's really interesting because it's one of the only fur tables in Canada that operates in the fashion that it does. So if you ever want to see how an animal was trapped, processed, and then the resulting fur or pelt sold to the wholesalers, this is the time to come out and see it. They also have a number of booths available for those that are making mucklucks and moccasins and hats and gloves from the product. So it's an opportunity to buy some Christmas presents as well. It's at St. Joe's Hall on Friday evening and Saturday during the day. So be sure and drop into the fur tables.
And then the North Stars are in town. Kenora is visiting on Friday and Saturday, starting tomorrow. It's the last games before the holiday break.
Absolutely, and it's also a fundraiser in regards to non-perishable food and cash donations towards the Salvation Army Food Bank being collected at Saturday's game. So again, keeping in the Christmas spirit, bring non-perishable food or cash to the game, and you can donate to the Salvation Army Food Bank.
And then there is a very good thing happening, and a lot of people are very happy that they're now open, because it's not always in people's budgets to rent out the CA Nesbitt or GB arenas, but the outdoor rinks are open.
Absolutely. All three rinks are open and available, and they are free. And so make sure you be aware of the weather. Make sure if your kids are going out there, if you're going out there, that you have the appropriate clothing on. Have fun, enjoy yourself, and stay safe on the outdoor rinks.
And more information is available, I believe, on the city's Facebook page and website with regards to the hours of operations for the heated huts, so you don't have to change your skates outside.
Absolutely.
Transitioning now into more athletics, winter games are getting closer and closer every week.
Yeah, so we've had some great stories on CBC the last couple of weeks in regards to the host tour that was done a week ago. And so we're on track. Again, kudos to Murray Kissick and Sandra Ross Hitch and the whole crew in the host society, working towards presenting the games in March. And so, but the reminder again is still, we need volunteers. It's an online registration process. Please go to thompson.ca, the City of Thompson, and follow the links under our city to the Manitoba Game site, where you can sign up for registration for volunteer work. And it can be as little as 4 hours or 1 hour. It could be all week if you have the week off. But make sure that we show everybody that's coming into our community what a great show we can put on, and that there's a strong volunteer base in our community.
Moving on now, it is the holiday season. We will have one more city beat before Christmas, but it's never hurts to give out as many reminders as possible about Operation Red Nose.
Absolutely, and reported last week in regards to the RCMP are conducting their check stops. Unfortunately, there have been a few charges. So on the flip side of that, we have Operation Red Nose, and I understand that their fundraising is up from last year at this point, and hopefully will continue. So that tells me that more people are taking advantage of Operation Red Nose. So at the end of the day, please phone a friend or phone Operation Red Nose to get a ride. Do not drink and drive.
And actually, we just have updated stats that will be in the news over the next week, but there was 3 additional drivers charged with impaired driving here in Thompson over the weekend. So Operation Red Nose is that much more important. Moving on, there's one more item that you wanted to mention here before we wrap up.
Yeah, Christmas is always a joyous time for a lot of people, but there is always a flip side to that. And for many, Christmas is not a joyous situation for many reasons. So in that vein, there will be what's called a Blue Christmas service on Thursday, December 21st at 7:30 p.m. at the Lutheran United Church, which is 52 Caribou Road. And it's Christmas times for times of memory and remembering those that have lost beloved family members or friends. Christmas is a reminder of that, and so there are also, whether it's be broken relationships or anxiety and unemployment and poor health and things like that. So there's a lot of mental health issues that stats prove surround the Christmas period. So as much as we want to enjoy the Christmas period, we need to support those that are going through tough times at the same time. And so if you know someone, reach out to them, ask to support, listen. The number one thing that everyone should do is listen to people's concerns, but recognize that as much as we all enjoy Christmas, there are some that are experiencing issues, and we want to be there to support everybody.
And could you remind everyone of the date and time of the Blue Christmas service?
Sure. Again, that's Thursday, December 21st, 7:30 at the Lutheran United Church. That's at 52 Caribou Road.
And I'm sure we'll remind everyone about that again next week.
Great.
Well, thank you so much for joining me this morning, Mayor Fenske.
Thank you.
If you have any questions you'd like answered next week, email them in advance to CHTMnews@arcticradio.ca. For City Beat here on 102.9 CHTM, I'm Stuart Walter.
City